So I just realized it is officially course week. It is the week that I've been waiting for. Finally, after months and months, I'm actually dropping my first course. I'm really excited. Launch week, there's a lot going down. I'm still training. I'm still doing a lot of things for my own well-being. So you know the deal, vlog structure. We're just gonna vlog the week and see how it unfolds. My days are pretty structured now. I wake up, I do some sort of mentorship check-in with all my mentees, and then I'm grinding on coursework, educational material, personal content. That's one thing, is I've upped my personal content game, right? Like I have really upped the ante. I'm posting every single day, sometimes twice a day, really just trying a bunch of things, seeing what sticks, using my current system, but also just trying new things and throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. That's the thing, there's no name in the game, right? Your system works until it doesn't. And that's what I've learned. It's like, you can do everything textbook according to plan, but sometimes the very thing that you didn't think was gonna work is the thing that actually works, and it works more than anything else you've done. So that's what I'm doing. I'm reiterating on things that I have done before, but then I'm also trying out new things and seeing what works in different formats for me. And then in the afternoons, I go to the gym and I'm lifting, and that's pretty much all my fitness is right now. I actually think it's funny. When I was a kid, I was extremely creative. I was constantly coming up with ideas. I've talked about this before. I was constantly coming up with ideas. I was constantly ideating. I was constantly my imagination was next level. My dad sent me a video the other day of these stop motion videos that I would make with my Legos. I was like 6 or 7 years old, and I was making, maybe not 7, I was 8 or 9 years old, literally making stop motion videos with my Legos. Like, I would take picture, move the Lego, picture, move the Lego, picture, move the Lego. And I would essentially create these mini battles, these mini sequences with my Legos. I was 8 years old. I look back on that and I don't regret anything in life. I always talk about that. I never regret anything in life, but if anything, I think that the creative gene was in me from such an early age, and it was so evident that I needed to create. It was so evident that I was going to be a creative, and I resisted it for a really long time. When I got to high school, I got this mentality that I needed to just be practical with my career. I feel like maybe it's the generation that came before us, maybe it's the previous generation that instilled this practical, you go to school, you get your 9 to 5, you go to school, you study, you get your degree, you get your 9 to 5, and you just work every single day until you die. And there's no creativity, right? If you want to pursue something creative, that's your hobby, let it be that, and that's that. I didn't rediscover it until I was in college, until I realized, dang, this is not fulfilling me. This is not what I want to do with my life. And you kind of have to get to that point where you just kind of realize, okay, I can't do this for the rest of my life. You kind of have to get to a point where who you are has to come through, and you almost have to get to a breaking point. All that to say, I never thought I could make money being creative. I never thought that I could actually be successful and be a creative anything. Artist, filmmaker, entrepreneur. I forsook those creative endeavors because I thought that I would go broke. I didn't become a creative because I thought that there was no money in it. And I could never be more wrong. And like I said, I don't regret anything in my life. I don't have any regrets in my life. I think that's a terrible way to look at things. But if anything, this should tell you, if you have an urge, if you have an inkling, if you have this desire to go pursue something, it's there for a reason, right? It's in your inner being for a reason, and you would be doing yourself a disservice not to pursue that. I look back at young me who made these stop motion Lego videos, right? These rudimentary, just amateur videos when I was 7 and 8. And I realized, bro, of course I'm doing what I'm doing now. Of course I'm a creative. Of course I can't help but express creativity. So why would I not pursue a career in that? And so I look back on that as evidence that I'm doing the right thing. Sometimes I think, man, maybe I should just go get a 9-to-5. Maybe I should just, make this a hobby and really just get something stable. But then I look back on that, and in my young age, the very thing that I couldn't help but express was shining through everything. I was a creative at heart, and so I'm doing myself a disservice if I don't express it. I hit a nice little upper body day. My training goals have shifted a little bit since the last time I made one of these videos. The last video I made, I was pretty much full on marathon training. I was running 40, upwards of 50 miles a week, preparing for the Austin Marathon, and it was pretty much all running. I got down to like 168. I was like 168 pounds. I talked about this on social media, but after the marathon, I had Luke and I had High Rocks Houston Men's Pro Doubles on the calendar, literally not even a month out after the marathon. And Luke has run, I think, 5 marathons, and this was my first marathon. After the marathon, I was cooked, but I was so physically debilitated after the marathon, and to the point where I couldn't even squat 135 pounds without feeling like I was gonna cramp. Every time I got under the bar, and every time I would get past 5 reps. I remember when my first leg day back, I loaded up 225 on the bar. 225 is not it's not super heavy, and bro, I did 8 reps and my entire quads, both of them, just locked up, cramped. They locked up, they cramped, and I was sore for literally a week. I literally could not even walk. I couldn't do any leg movements, and it was like that feeling perpetually in my legs for probably close to 5 weeks after the marathon. That being said, I ended up pulling out of Houston. I just didn't think I was mentally in the state to do that. I didn't think I could give it my best effort. Marathon training and High Rocks training are just different. They're just completely different modalities, and while I was aerobically fit, I don't think I was High Rocks fit. After the marathon, I was just full on ready to get back into business. I was ready to lock into this side of business. I feel like when you're preparing for something that monumental, when you're preparing for something as big as your first marathon, it's all consuming, right? I was for sure tending to my business. I wouldn't say building my business. I would say tending to my business, right? It was becoming an afterthought, right? Marathon training was the priority. Business was becoming a secondary priority in my life. And for a time, I think it was worth it. I got to experience something for the first time, something that I will remember for the rest of my life, something that is a part of my journey, my fitness journey. Wouldn't trade it for the world. But after the marathon, it was almost when I crossed the finish line and I got back to the hotel, I was mentally, I was all right, what's next? Let's lock in. I'm ready to see what's next for me business-wise. And I think for me, it was really finally doing the damn thing and actually making something of myself on social media. I've accomplished myself as a filmmaker. I freelanced for a year. I basically proved to myself that I could be a freelance filmmaker, but I wanted to prove to myself, hey, I can go out, make a living, make a name for myself on social media, teach other people how to create content, while at the same time building a brand around myself All right, let's do it. I like keeping my camera on autofocus, but what I will do is I will put it on manual focus here, and I will focus on the area that I want my focus to be on. So all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna walk in a frame, and I'm gonna go tight, right? It's a tight shot, so I might as well go with a tight focal length. All right, then as it's grinding, I'm gonna reframe. I'm less of a fan now of including my entire face in frame. Like, I would used to want to frame a tight shot like this, right? Where I have my entirety of my face in frame, but I just love like notice how I'm framed in this part of the third, and then I have the window in the background. Like, I just love this look. And that is a cut, baby. Wow, that was relatively easy and simple and rather enjoyable. I love providing tutorials like that to my audience. It's so simple. Shooting yourself is so simple, but people overcomplicate it. And once you kind of just crack the code, so to speak, it makes life so much easier. So I'm actually gonna use that. I'm gonna make that into a carousel post and use that to kind of promote the course in this final launch week, and basically say, yeah, I provided a full, probably an hour-long tutorial about how to create this video. I'm just gonna be like, hey, I provide like an hour-long tutorial. Like, if you want access to it, go ahead and join the waitlist for the course. You'll have full access to it. And that way I'm still providing value to my audience. Like, I'm still showing them the shots that I'm using, showing them like how I'm doing it. But if they want even more access, they can join my course and my community. So that's the thing, is it's like, I always talk about, you should provide value to your audience. Everyone's so afraid. I talk about this all the time. Everyone is so afraid to provide value to their audience. They think that by providing value, they're not gonna have anything left to give to their audience when it comes time to buy. But here's the thing, you're showing your audience how you're doing what you're doing, but you're not showing them what to do, right? Like, you're giving them the tools, you're showing them the method, but every person's case is different. How they apply it to their specific case, to their business, to their personal brand is different. So you're showing them the method, but how they apply it to their specific cases, that's where your value outside of social media comes in. That's when you start charging. That's when you start providing value in terms of actual monetary benefit. Like, you're giving them advice, you're giving them your professional take on how you would apply it to their business. And so I'm okay providing value and just showing my process, because I'm just literally showing how I do it. I'm just showing how I create. And if people can use that and apply that to what they create, probably not gonna be someone that I'm gonna do business with, because they don't really need me. Right? They don't really need me to hold their hand. They don't need me to help them walk them through the steps to create content. Someone that sees my content and is like, okay, I want to do that, and I know a little bit now, but I want to know more. That's the type of person that I need to help. Those are the type of people that need someone to come alongside them and help them and be with them and build a relationship with them and help them create the way they've always wanted to create. So we are gonna film a full workout. We're gonna film like a whole back day. And I wanna show you guys like how I film my workouts. I feel like an actual in-person montage of how I get these done. So I've shown you guys how I create a shot list, how I script my videos. And so now it's time to actually go out and shoot. So I'm gonna mic myself up and walk you guys through it, similar to how I did in my morning routine video. So I feel like this will be really helpful, just so you can get like a live, basically in-person walkthrough of how I actually film my content. So stay tuned, it will be a longer one, but I think it'll be worth it. Bro, I tripped over this thing the other night.
Yeah.
Do you know when you're having a really bad day and then it's like the final straw and you stub your toe and it's like the crash out,
This was your final
this was
straw.
my final straw, and I literally went to step over, tripped, and I like destroyed my shin. And you can literally hear me, I'm like, fuck! Still warming up. I always tell people too, use your warm-up sets to film, right? So like this isn't my working set, but I'm gonna use it as an opportunity to get like a wide shot, like an establishing shot. But when the sets get hard, when like I'm struggling, that's when I wanna come in and get the tight shots, because that's gonna like show the struggle. It's gonna show me actually working hard, but I'll take advantage of the warm-up sets to get the wide shots. So this video is actually coming off of me making a shot list. So I have my shot list with me in here. Checking off the wide, okay? So I already checked off the tight of me putting pin in the weight stack. Now I'm gonna get a tight of me putting on the straps. Some workouts you wanna treat just as workouts, right? And you don't, that's why I always say there's document mode and then there's filmmaker mode. Document mode is just taking your camera, set it up somewhere, and just let the action play out. And like, don't be worried about framing. Get one good frame, let it roll, do your workout, set up a wide shot at the beginning of a set and let it be there. But then filmmaker mode is a mode where you're coming in and you're being a little bit more intentional. Maybe your workout is not optimal that day, but you're doing it for the sake of getting good content. Today's kind of a hybrid one of those days. Like I'm a little bit more intentional because I'm demonstrating for you guys. But on Saturdays, sometimes I want to come in and I just want to throw down, lift heavy weight and vibe out. So like I'll come in with a wide lens, like my 20 millimeter, and I'll just shoot and let it be that. Everyone is so confused why I buy my chain, but it started in CrossFit when I was doing power cleans. When the bar would hit my collarbone, like I didn't want it to hit the chain. I didn't want it to break the chain. So I would just put it in my mouth like that. People are like, dude, you're gonna hurt your teeth. I don't bite it, I just let it rest. It became a habit. So now every time before I start a set, I'm like, put it in my mouth like that. So I know it looks douchey, but after I finished the set, I didn't just get up and move on to the next one. I like let it breathe a little bit. That's one thing where I feel like a lot of people don't let their shots breathe. Like when you finish a set, like let that moment play out, right? Don't hurry up, don't run to cut the camera, don't run to just do the next set. Like take a moment, right? Because a lot of times in post, you'll be like, damn, I really wish I wish that shot was longer, right? If it feels weird, that's okay. Like that's part of it in anything, right? So I always say like, let the shots breathe. I think people don't realize how basic it really is. Just as complicated as you think it is to get your camera out, set it up, it's that complicated, but it's also that simple, right? It's literally just as simple as like taking the time between each set, setting up a frame, getting that shot. When you film in a space that you're comfortable in, like I don't even think twice about filming in here. It wasn't like that at first. Like when I first started filming in here, like I didn't know anybody, like I barely knew Matt and Destin, the owners. But over time, like it got better and I got more comfortable, and people come to know you as the person that makes content. And honestly, I think what I've realized is people are inspired by it. You think people are watching you, but they're like, no, that's kind of cool. I want to do that. And dude, when we got here, I literally talked to this guy Dalton that goes to the gym here, and he owns a landscaping business, right? He doesn't know the first thing about content, but he wants to know. And so he knows to come up and talk to me based on what he sees me doing. And so we had like a 20-minute conversation just about, he was like, hey man, like what would you do if you were in my shoes and we're just starting out? Like, well, what would you do? And I talked to him for like 20 minutes about how to talk to his phone, how to get more comfortable talking in front of the camera. And like, some people just need a pep talk. Some people just need to be told like they're the shit, right? And if they are introverted, like that guy I was talking to, he's like kind of introverted. I'm like, own that, bro. He told me about this public speaking challenge he was doing where he's like, dude, I'm so introverted that I kind of have forced myself to, every time I go out, I go up to someone new and talk to them. I'm like, bro, that's an amazing content idea. Document that. Be like, hey guys, this is day one of talking to a stranger every time I go somewhere new. Dude, you know how inspiring that is to other introverts, other people that struggle with talking? I'm an introvert, right? That I couldn't even imagine doing something like that. That to me is inspiring. So that's what those conversations lend them to. At the end of the day, that's what this is all about. And I'm not gonna overwhelm you. I'm not gonna get like a million different shots, but like, I'll like, as your, which runner will you run? The center one?
No, probably just one.
It's so
They just
hard.
my hamstrings way too much.
I remember using it for the first time at the race and I was like, dude, this is not right. Okay. All right, so ready Rachel is one of my one-on-one mentees. So today I actually am gonna run her through. I recommend all of my mentees buy a camera, especially for like long form stuff. So the benefit of being one-on-one in person is that I actually get a hands-on like opportunity to teach them how to use their camera, how to create in person. Most of my mentees are virtual. So today we're actually gonna go through like a real-time workout. She has a couple repeats on the treadmill, and then afterwards we're gonna go through a couple Hyrox movements. But how do you actually film in real time as if you were doing a Hyrox workout in the gym? So this is gonna be really beneficial for her. So I have a mic on my hat right here, and I actually have it plugged in to her camera. So I'm actually gonna give her voice notes as she's working out. We're gonna stage it as if I'm Rachel moving her camera in between sets. You running and then shot like this, another wide angle because it's like right up in the action. Lines right here, those are like leading lines, right? They lead the viewer into the frame. So notice how it's a little too bright, okay? So right now I'm gonna read you back the settings on my camera, or your camera. So we have a 1/48 shutter, remember? We're keeping it always at 1/48, we're not changing that. It is at ISO 400, and we're at f2.8. Okay, so this is a tight shot. Again, we're low, because low is always the way to go here, where I'm going to sit down, and then I come here and rest. All right, so we wrapped up there. The camera that Rachel has is this Sony ZV-E10 II. Super basic camera, right? It's not super expensive. You don't have to buy these like super expensive setups to get good stuff, right? I'm gonna take this footage, I'm gonna edit it and show her what it's like to take footage directly from this camera from start to finish and edit a video. And I'll show you that you don't need something that's like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to actually get good content. So hope that was helpful. We'll see you guys in the next one. A little unexpected turn of events before I get on the interstate and it gets hella loud. So I am going to Miami this weekend, super last minute. It's funny, like there's something about backing yourself into a corner that actually forces you to get shit done, right? I love putting deadlines on myself. I love giving myself zero option but to get done what I need to get done. And a lot of times that means saying yes to a lot of things, okay? So this weekend, a buddy of mine reached out to me. He and I have shot a lot of different things together, especially when I worked in CrossFit. We just like cross paths a lot, and he's like a good friend of mine. And he lives in Florida, and he offered, basically he needed a second shooter for this like golf shoot that he's doing this weekend. Super, not random, but he asked me a while back and I couldn't make it work. And so this weekend I was like, you know what? I still kind of miss like the filmmaking side of things. That is something that I will always love, right? Picking up a camera, being behind the camera, telling a story, something I'll always love. But also, there is something about putting your back against the wall and having your back against the wall that forces you to get things done, right? Before I left today, I had to create a piece of content for every single day of launch week, okay? I needed to post something every single day calling people to action, right? Okay, my course is live, join here, these are the details. And so by saying yes to this shoot, it forced me to get all that content done. It forced me to actually sit down and not procrastinate and do the things. Okay, word. All right, I'll meet you outside. You can literally see people walking out of the club. It makes me want to yak. speaking straight straight into silence. And right, this is action footage, right? So you would expect there to be some sort of audio. This weekend was confirmation that I am making the right pivot, that I have made the right pivot in my business. It's good to do certain things to see whether or not they're meant for you, or to confirm certain decisions in your life. I'll never forget one time I was talking to this girl, and she lived like 9 hours away. She lived 9 hours away from me, and she had come visit me. I had like seen her at a CrossFit competition, and she was like, okay, now I've visited you, now it's your turn to visit me. And I'm a big advocate of following your intuition and being so in tune with your intuition that you can know for sure whether or not something is for you or not. But sometimes sometimes the only way you can know is by just experiencing what it's like and just jumping in head first and just seeing if it is for you. And so I remember in that circumstance, I was like, fine. The only way I had basically two options. I was like, either I continue this long distance situationship and never really fully, or just waste time, not really fully knowing whether or not this person is for me and kind of drag it on, or I go down, visit her 10 hours away, drive down there and actually see whether or not she's meant for me. And I ended up doing it. And I knew within like the first day that it was not going to be a relationship that was worth it for me in the long term, right? Great girl, just not for me. And so I remember feeling, I was there for like 4 days, and I remember feeling on like day 2, I was like, damn, she's just not for me. Like, she's just not my wife. And I had like 2 days left. I think I ended up going home early, but I had to do it. I had to experience that so that I knew what it was like, and so that I had confirmation, right? And I think this trip was similar. I haven't done a travel gig like that in a long time, since I started really this year. Honestly, I've done some local stuff here in Birmingham, but I haven't traveled for videography work or for filmmaking work. And part of me was like, maybe I'll scratch that itch again. Maybe I'll like see if this is something that I want to dip my toes back into, to see whether or not I want this aspect of business in my life. The main takeaway from this weekend is I always want to be the main character. I think the main takeaway is just, the whole time I was thinking to myself, I could be spending time pouring into my business, into my social media, into my content, into, what's good for me. And I spent a lot of my life thinking that was selfish when I was working on, gigs, when I was working for other people. I was like, man, this is such a selfish mentality to have. Why? I should be grateful. I should, be grateful that I have these opportunities. Why am I thinking so selfishly that I want to just work on my brand, on my image, on like, is this prideful? Why am I not feeling these feelings of humility? I've kind of gotten over that feeling that it's prideful to want to be the guy, right? I remember telling my mom that. I remember telling my parents that, as I made this pivot, they were like, what's the driving factor behind this? And I was like, I don't know. I've always wanted to be the guy, right? I've always wanted to be the guy, whether it's, my personality, whether it's my influence, whether it's me owning some sort of business. I've always wanted to be the guy, and I've always wanted to call the shots. And that means for my business, doing what's best for me and creating content around me and creating content that furthers what I am about. And so the whole time I was just thinking, I think I've made the right decision. I know I've made the right decision, and I know that this pivot is the way to go. And I'm just going to have to work a hell of a lot harder and a lot longer than I think to actually make this a substantial business model and something that's sustainable for the long term. I know it'll work, right? Like, I'm crazy. I know it's going to work. Anything I set my mind to, I know I'm going to be successful in. But I think this weekend was further confirmation that, hey, maybe I can start saying no with finality to these travel gigs, to these opportunities where I'm furthering someone else's business, and I can really start locking in and honing in into my business, into what I want to be, into what I want to turn into what I want to create. I want to be the builder, and I don't know, I don't want to be the person that's, watching from the sidelines or helping from the sidelines. I want to be the person that's driving the boat, if that makes sense. So I think it was fitting that I did that in lieu of my course dropping this week, because it got me excited. I was like, I'm ready to get back, and I'm ready to pour into the people that have already signed up. 44 people have signed up, by the way. So I think maybe we can get it to 50, but I'm excited to pour into these 40, almost 50 people that have signed up already and really, really drive this boat and keep it moving forward. Bro, the signups are pouring in, bro. The signups are literally pouring in. It is 9:51 and 15 people have signed up on the last day. We are at 69, pause. We are at 69 people total. Blew past our goal of 50. I think that, wow, it's just crazy. They just started coming in. I felt like I was posting too much. I felt like I was talking too much about it. And it's it's just when you have something valuable to give, why not? It's the final push, right? I'm not gonna post about it for a while, but I am overwhelmed with the gratitude, and I'm just ready to give back. This is the final push, and it's just crazy to see all this work pay off, and finally I'm teaching something and I'm giving back in a way that I've never given back before. It's so funny. Every goal we've beaten, every goal we've kind of blown past. We had initially on my wait list, we wanted 250 people on my wait list. We got 400, okay? We wanted 50 people to sign up, right? We have almost 70. We're blowing past all of our goals, and I'm fired up, right? This is just the beginning. This is literally the first time I've ever dropped anything like this. I'm ready to go. I have fallen away from journaling the past few weeks, and honestly, I've not been very consistent even in the past few months. This journal right here was my journal from 2023 to 2024, probably the most integral years of my life. And I think it's really important to journal, not only because it's an important exercise in getting your thoughts down and articulating your thoughts into writing. There's something about writing when you get your thoughts down that really helps you articulate and helps get thoughts down to paper. It also is an important reminder of how far you've progressed in life. I sat down this morning with the intention to write, but I saw this sitting on my shelf and I grabbed it. And sometimes every 3 or 4 months, I'll take a look back into this. Every time I kind of feel like I am not progressing, every time I feel like, I'm not where I want to be or I'm stuck, I look through this journal. And it's crazy to see the progression in my character, in my progression as a human being, my maturity. I started out this journal single, right? A single guy. It progressed into a budding relationship that I thought was going to be it, that I thought was going to be, one and done, right? End game, which ended up being the most toxic relationship I've ever been in. I don't talk about relationship stuff often because I think it's really personal, but honestly, I feel like it could speak to a lot of other young men. But seeing my maturity progress through this journal as I was navigating probably the most toxic relationship I've ever been in, one that truly shaped me and showed me and provided the standard by which I view relationships going forward. I mean, the anxiety, the sadness, the mourning, the just straight up uncertainty contained in this journal is something that I never want to experience again, but it was necessary, right? All of this contained in this journal was necessary. It was necessary to my growth. And so I look back at this journal and I read some of the entries and I read some of the reflections, and I'm reminded that I was able to get through it, right? I was able to get through one of the most difficult times of my life, while at the same time I was leaving my job, right? At the same time, I felt this call to quit my job and start my own business, do my own thing. And so seeing that contained in this journal is so inspiring. I think the main theme of this journal truly is James 1:2. Count it all joy, brethren, when faced with trials, because they produce the steadfastness of faith. And I actually have it tattooed on my wrist, right? I have count it all joy tattooed on my wrist as a constant reminder during this time when I was like, Lord, why are you putting me through this turmoil? Why am I, this sucks. Like, I hate this so much. Like, why are you doing this to me? Why do I feel this way? What is the point? And that verse really stuck out to me. Count it all joy. Like, even in the midst of trials, even in the midst of something that you can't even possibly see the positive side of it, it's preparing you for something greater. And I knew in the moment that it was true. I knew in the moment that the Lord was preparing me for something, but I couldn't see it. And so there's an element of faith. You have to trust that He is. And look at me now. I'm doing the things that I want. I'm building this business. I've matured and grown beyond belief. And so I can count those trials as joy because they prepared me for what I'm doing now. It's rather dark in here, isn't it? Bro, we are ready to go. This is the setup. So I'm vlogging on this lens. I'm vlogging on the 20, but I'm actually gonna put it right there on the FX3 just for like a wide angle as a B cam, as an A cam. But this is it. This is the setup. And I pulled down the blinds because I had the foresight to realize that I'm giving this lesson at 6 p.m. and the sun beautifully sets through my windows at around 7 p.m. And the last thing I want is for the sun to just blast in and overexpose everything. So I have the windows down, and that's gonna create just some nice light control. But here we are. This is like the final countdown. It's 4:14. We have about 2 hours until it goes live. I'll go through my setup, but this is it. Like, this is, I am just antsy. Like, I'm ready to go. I'm just ready to get the show on the road. And I left a voice memo for one of my friends. She was just congratulating me on the course and the direction and like where I'm going and where I'm taking my business. And I honestly responded to her and I was like, hey, I'm nervous because this is the first time I've ever presented something live. Well, technically in high school and college, like I gave like a senior thesis, but like I haven't taught a group of people a skill that I know ever. And so this is new for me. This is like an uncharted territory. But that being said, I'm confident, and I just feel this feeling of peace because everything in this is what I know. It's what I know to be true. And it's information that I know so well. And it's information that I tell people on a daily basis, in my conversations with friends, in my conversations with my one-on-one mentees, in my conversations with anyone who wants to pick up a camera. Like, these are conversations. This whole course is built off of conversations, is built off of dialogue that I have had, real, true dialogue that I have had with other people that just need to get out of their own head, that just need to just start and do the damn thing. And so I feel at peace because this is just stuff that I've talked about time and time again. It's just now I'm telling it in a different format. And so I'm honestly, more than anything, I'm excited and I feel blessed. Like, I feel blessed that I get to do this and I get to help people and I get to inspire people and give them the tools that I have learned the hard way through trial and error, through other lessons and just life. I'm excited to take that experience and give back. So welcome to the Overthinker's Guide to Filming Yourself. This is a long time coming. This has been something that I wanted to share with you guys for a long time. Think about that first question. What do I know about myself to be true? Thoughts in your head, you don't even think they're worth talking about, right? I had a conversation. You're a creative, so obviously you're going to have all these thoughts in your head. Try it again, and iterate and reiterate and reiterate. Don't hesitate to reach out to me, email me. There's only 75 of you, so I'm going to see every single email. I'm going to answer every single one. Hop in the Slack channel. Make sure you have those action items, and we will go from there. Guys, I'm so excited. I can't express how grateful I am for you guys being here, and we'll see you guys on Thursday. Peace. Bro. That was pretty cool. That was pretty dope. That felt amazing. I just feel like I'm giving back. I feel like I'm just really stepping into what I'm supposed to do. Even in that call, rehashing my what do I know about myself? What are the things that I know about myself? Going over that reminded me of my strengths, that reminded me of what I'm about, that reminded me of what I'm meant to and called to do. And it just affirms that I'm right exactly where I need to be. It affirms that I am doing the things that I need to do, and seeing everyone's responses, seeing everyone's feedback was not just informative, but it was inspiring. That was really fulfilling.